Well, the restrictions and regulations in place now that the country is back to adjusted level 3 has had a major impact on a number of industries. The alcohol industry, for example, taking a huge knock given the total shutdown of all operations. It's really taken a toll, particularly on family-owned wine farms across the country. Now, thousands of farmers are planning to challenge government's ban as it is crippling their businesses. Southern African Agri Initiative's chairman of the Board, Theo de Jager, joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us. Just tell us, on what grounds are you going to be challenging the alcohol ban?
The alcohol ban really does not have anything to do with COVID. It is all about keeping spaces open in hospitals where beds in ICUs are being occupied because of accidents made by people who had too much alcohol. And we argue that already there's a curfew in place. People cannot move between certain hours, and that is usually where the problem occurs in. And also, if we measure the availability of beds against the loss of jobs, the closure of farms, especially in the Boland area of the Western Cape, it simply does not add up. In our tobacco case, which was argued on similar grounds, we could show that the ban of tobacco in the previous, during the previous wave only saved up to 18 beds nationally over those 20 weeks. So we do not think that the decision to ban alcohol was really rational.
You say that it's nothing, that banning alcohol has nothing to do with COVID. I mean, the reality is the reports from all the hospitals are absolutely emphatically clear. You ban alcohol, you have less road accidents, you have less drunken fights and stabbings, you have less domestic violence. It has absolutely freed up beds. The link is so incredibly clear. It's so very difficult to justify alcohol being sold again when it's so clear our dysfunctional relationship with the substance.
You see, also part of our argument is that you cannot put wine in the same basket as the rest of the alcohol lobby. Wine is being used in a different way. That's why you can buy a bottle of wine with your groceries at any retail or chain store. Wine is an agricultural product, and it is not used in the same way as, for example, the hard liquors or beer.
The reality is you can get very drunk on wine.
You can, but wine is a more expensive alternative. It is usually served in restaurants and at homes with a dinner. This is why we've made the distinction in our alcohol-related legislation that you can buy wine, for example, from a grocery shop. And you know, the number of family farms which are closing down because, on the one hand, they cannot sell their products, but on the other hand, too, we still sit with around 300 million litres in surplus. There is no space for the new harvest to come in.
Talk to me about the impact and how many family farms are closing down, how many have closed down, and how many people have been put out of work by these 3 bans.
We are still trying to establish exactly how many, because, you know, it is happening right now. This is the second round of the ban. We sit with around 250 family farmers who are really in trouble. They cannot get financing because many of them already got letters from the sellers to say, you will not have a quota for 2021. All the tanks are still full. All the barrels are still full. We simply cannot make any more wine this coming season.
Yeah, and I think it's that lack of certainty of not knowing when it's going to end that's a real problem. So you're going to challenge this legally. Just talk me through very quickly what happens next in terms of your legal challenge, and when does it happen?
Well, first now, we are still collecting the data. I wish I could have more clear answers for you, or, for example, on the numbers of jobs lost, the exact number of farms who are in dire straits. So we are collecting that data so that we can go to court with hard facts. Secondly, we are talking about the whole region, a whole industry, and it happens to be one of the oldest industries in our country. And even if we would open up the markets for wine again tomorrow, people will only now start to consume again. They will not catch up on the lost sales, not for last year, not for this year. Hence, the picture for wine farmers, especially your smaller and boutique wines, they are really in dire straits.
Well, thank you so much for giving us that insight. That was Theo de Jager. He's the Southern African Agri Initiative's chairman of the board.